do you think it's important to get to know people? Specifically, why do you think it's important to get to know your fellow Toastmasters? I'm going to tell you why I think it's important, and then I'm going to ask for audience participation to discuss why you think it's important. I think it's important to get to know people in general, first of all, because it's nice to talk to others, find out more about others, and through them you can learn something. And when I say you can learn something, you can learn a different perspective on what you already think. Secondly, I think it's important to get to know your fellow Toastmasters because you can help each other grow in Toastmasters. You can help each other learn. For example, I might have a problem with being a timer. I've been a timer before. Maybe. In my case, I have been. Sometimes people have never operated the equipment that we have to be the timer. So if you get to know others in Toastmasters, you will feel comfortable asking instructions on and being honest and upfront and transparent. You know, I've really never been a timer before. Is there any way that you can help me out on how to operate the equipment? And then that first step leads to the second step of, Michelle, you and I have never gone to lunch before. And because I ask you, for example, to help me with the timing equipment, I feel comfortable asking you to do that. Also, I may have another role in Toastmasters. And it just goes on, and I feel more comfortable calling you up on the phone or texting you, asking you, can you help me out? Can I practice with you to improve my speaking ability? I find that getting to know others takes knowledge, skills, and abilities. Because you need to know how to listen to the person that you're talking to. You need to know how to take down your guard and just be honest and upfront on where you are mentally, what are you thinking, how do you think that you're supposed to proceed on a project, for example? Like if I wanted to be the editor of a newsletter for our club. First of all, that's not a one-man assignment. You're going to need the help of everybody in your club to gather data, information to include in the newsletter. So at this point, I want to ask you, based on what I've said to you and what you know from your own personal and professional experiences, why do you think it's necessary to get to know someone else other than your immediate circle of friends, whether it's in your personal life or your Toastmasters life? So do I have any volunteers on answering that question? Why do you think it's important to get to know others? Mark?
I'll answer that question and film at the same time. I think it's important that, especially with Toastmasters, that we get to know people because it's very easy to stereotype people. Say, well, she looks like this, she must be that. Or he looks like this, he must be that. And I think when we get to know people, we break those stereotypes down and go, you know what, he wasn't what I thought. So I think naturally we just tend to, look at someone and make a judgment or prejudgment about them that very well may not be correct. So that's my opinion on why we need to get to know people, so we can put aside those prejudgments that sometimes we do. That's about it.
Thank you, Mark. In keeping with that thought of prejudging, how many of you have been guilty of sizing someone up and thinking that they're not approachable? You never talked to them. You've only said hi to them, but you have surmised that Trang is not approachable. I can't ask her that. She's just going to look at me with a side eye, and I'm going to have to walk away, and I still don't have an answer. How many of you thought that way? Anyone else besides myself?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, because we just don't take the time to get to know the person. How many of you think that when you get to know a person, there's a certain amount of comfort, your comfort level goes up when you do that?
Definitely.
And that's what we need in Toastmasters. We're a family. We're a community of people that's trying to increase and improve their leadership skills, for example. We all want to get that next promotion, right? And that's not always the supervisor. It can be the lead on a project. And the way that you come to know one another and get to know one another is to communicate effectively with one another. And where do we learn how to communicate effectively with one another? One of the places is in your Toastmasters club, at your club level. And of course, if you go to the next level, go on the website. Toastmasters.org is a good place to get to know quietly someone and read about their bios and their activities that's going on in Toastmasters. I think there's something to be said about getting to know someone. As I mentioned, in your personal life, professional life, because it's needed. We're not an island. We always need more information to make a what? Informed decision about matters. So I think that as Toastmasters members, we need to continue to get to know one another.
Yeah.